All right, welcome everybody to the One Up XP Show podcast. Take two. Yes, I made it halfway through this podcast before I realized I didn't hit record. So guess what? Now we've hit record, and it was a run through because today's guest obviously is so good he can do it twice. Cody Elsen is with me. He is a coach, esports director of Northwood University there in Midland, Michigan. They have a top tier program, amazing perks, and just amazing team in general, and amazing kids. We bring in now Mr. Cody Elsen. Cody, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Second time's the best, man, obviously.
Hey, you know what? It's okay. Hey, I enjoy talking to you so much. I don't mind doing it, you know?
Oh, and we have talked quite a bit over the last week. But I bring him in now. Coach Cody, a.k.a. Evolve Esports Director at Northwood University in Midland, and has proven over the last almost 3 years that maybe a background in esports isn't such a bad thing when coaching an esports program. You have really brought Northwoods to the top. I mean, top. You beat big schools in the country. I mean, big schools. It's not like, you're beating Joe Schmo down the road. I mean, you're talking like big schools out in California, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
We beat pretty much everybody. We got a couple rivals that we struggle against, but
let's get some background on you, Coach Cody. Cody Elsen from Midland, Michigan. What is your competitive background? What's your background in general, brother?
Yeah, so I originally started playing a game called Gears of War back in 2006 competitively, and that was the first game I started traveling for. Around that 2006 2007 timeframe. So yes, I've been in the industry quite a while.
You and me are what the young generation call boomers.
Oh yes, I get my players flame me so much for my age.
We're not even close to the boomer generation, but we're boomers.
I know, to them we are though. Yeah. So, but So I played Gears of War and all the the sequential titles that came with it until about 2014.
Okay.
And that's when I stopped playing because I got married. That's why I stopped playing.
Hey, that's a legit reason right there.
Yeah. The scrim schedule didn't work so much being married. But then shortly end of 2014, early 2015, started an org called Fable Esports with one of my buddies. And that's where we really started getting into the semi-pro professional scene. We'd have some semi-pro teams in certain games. We'd have professional teams in certain games, just kind of all over the place. But that's where I got into player development, and I worked hands-on with the players, and that was really fun. And I wanted to do that for my day job. So
right,
it was very hard. It's actually probably easier at the collegiate level to make it your full-time job than the pro level right now.
Right.
So the collegiate level is a natural fit for me to become full-time in esports.
Yeah, it makes sense. And we'll take a few steps back here, but you started in a game that probably had one of the biggest followings when it came to competitive with Gears of War. And I mean, the likes of Nick Merckx came out of Gears of War, who another Michigan native. Wait, what was that? Did you put him?
It's gone down.
Oh yeah. I was like, you put Nick down? We'll get Nick on this call too.
Oh no, Nick's cool. I've talked for a very long time, but I used to play against him all the time.
Yeah, and
they just killed their. Yeah, that's an example of a developer killing their own game.
They quickly killed that game and even tried to bring it back with Gears of War 4, but it was not in the right place. I think it was probably 2-3 years ago. It just kind of fell off the map completely. I know there's some people still underground that play that game quite a bit, but yeah, it's not what it used to be. Same with Halo.
Big circuit, but it's mostly Latin America. Honestly, is probably the biggest player base. Yeah.
Okay. So you were competitive, and then it's funny how small the esports world really is, or just gaming world in general. We sat down and we talked early last week just to get familiar with each other, which I do with all my guests on this podcast because I don't know everybody that I'm going to be talking to, but it turns out I knew Evolve Coach Cody Elsen, whatever you want to call him, 7 Ways to Kevin Bacon, because I played his teams in Fortnite quite a bit. I didn't realize Fable was you out of Midland, Michigan. And Fable was a very good organization, a very competitive team that we always went up against, and still to this day friends with some of your players that were on the Fable council side of things. And I've met some of your players, I believe, at the Fortnite event in Seattle, the first one that they had. And then you kind of step back from that and get into esports at a collegiate level, which is a little bit wild, wild west. Probably not sure how it's going to go. But let's talk about how Northwoods is and how they gave you the backing for that. They essentially just let you run wild with it, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we had our first year So when the university changed presidents is when we were able to really open things up.
Okay.
Just had a little bit more of a, it turned from an pure enrollment driven program originally the first year to we can actually, stake our claim in this space now before all the big schools get in and
Right.
become well known for it. And that's the attitude we took. And they gave me the resources to go get some of these players and bring them here and compete at the highest level. And yeah, there's definitely a big administrative push that's helped propel this for sure.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I kind of brought forward to 9 and 10. I was like, hey, listen, this is exploding. And you and I know, being in the industry, I was like, this needs to be brought to light, because in Northern Michigan, there's still not a whole lot of understanding of what is happening with esports and video gaming in general. And we just got to put it out there so people know that, playing video games or even having a background in anything that is gaming related, which we'll jump into in a second, isn't a waste of time. It can be very lucrative. It can be very well done for you if given the right abilities or doors to open. And Northwoods provides a lot of those doors. And we're talking about the achievements over the years and what you have to offer at Northwoods. And you were talking earlier about it's not just playing video games, but you have everything under the sun that goes along with playing video games for kids as well.
Yeah, no, I mean we recruit and offer scholarships for casters, behind the scenes production people,
Right.
graphic designers, team managers, student coaches, analysts, pretty much everything you can imagine. Social media from the esports side. We esports is so much more than just the competitive players. If anything, actually, you could argue that the competitive esports teams are one of the smallest things when it comes to an impact on an org, where content and streaming and all these other things are actually the bread and butter for the tier one orgs right now.
I mean, and that's really what it is. It's just like, like you said, casting or behind the scenes pushing the buttons or graphic design, whatever it is, there's so much more to esports and video games than just playing the actual game itself. But if you are a very good video game player, yeah, obviously there's a maybe a different path for you. But shoutcasting and broadcasting in general is just like any other traditional sport where you have a broadcaster and a color commentator. And I can tell you, this weekend watching the ESL Masters for PUBG, like, there's really good broadcasters, and that is a talent that if you can shoutcast, you have a big step forward in esports and broadcasting in general. And that is something amazing.
Matches just so much more enjoyable with a good caster,
If you know what you're talking about with the game, and you can bring it down to a level of someone who may not be as familiar with the game. Like, my wife was never familiar with PUBG, and she sat down and watched a match, and she understood essentially after 2 or 3 matches exactly what was going on. I was like, that's a sign of a good broadcaster. It laid it out for you, basically makes it very, I don't want to say normal, but it brings it down to the level of somebody who might not know what's going on and puts it right, relays the information perfectly to you. So that's awesome 100%. that you can do that there at Northwood. Now, the games that you guys are focusing on is Overwatch and Rocket League right now, but there might be a few more games in the mix down the road.
Yeah, so I mean, we offer right now 14 different titles, but we definitely have our focus on Overwatch and Rocket League.
Mm-hmm.
At least we did the past year. We'll be adding a good amount of attention to Valorant and Madden in the fall, and potentially Smash. But we're always trying to recruit good players, and I'm always open to any title if there's somebody that's motivated to play it. Honestly,
right?
I'll help give you the resources to get better, to get into tournaments, to whatever it may be. So,
and we're watching a little bit of the kids down below here, kind of explaining Overwatch and what they're talking about their success in your complex you got there, and those big checks in the background and some winnings. And kind of reminds me of Happy Gilmore, where I just wanted to cash one of those, and you said the players want to do that too. It's
my favorite
hilarious.
movie of all time. My wife gets so mad when I put it on.
I watch it all the time, man. It's so good. You hit that guy. You should have been standing there.
Yeah,
so let's hit on that amazing complex. We're seeing it down below, where the athletes are sitting here talking about what they're doing, their roles with Overwatch. But you have a really amazing complex that is really, I mean, pretty outstanding for an esports organization that's starting up. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so it's about 3,000 square feet, a little more than that, and we have about 50 computers set up for use. We have a broadcast room, we have a stage and everything. we definitely are outgrowing it. Our roster size is going to be way more than the amount of computers available for the fall, which was never our intention. We always wanted to make sure anybody could play no matter what, even if the lab was full. But we've grown so much more, so much faster. And there's a little thing called the pandemic and inventory issues that are preventing us from expanding right now, and lack of there's construction companies are overwhelmed right now, so you can't really get anybody to come do anything right now.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And I just read an article.
We're going to keep expanding it. We love it. And we're hoping to create more of like a community aspect to it in the future where anybody that can use it, not just people on the esports team.
Right.
So that's kind of where we're shifting our focus to.
Yeah. And speaking of stock issues, I just read an article this morning from, I think it was GameSpot, that says 22-23 is when the CPU manufacturers said they will be back to normal. I was like,
we'll see, because they're competing with the automotive companies right now over the same chips. So.
Yeah, and that's which is kind of tough because everybody and their mom wanted to upgrade everything over the pandemic because they found out their computers just weren't cutting it anymore.
That's right.
And Mr. Lucky over here that I'm talking to happened to get himself some amazing graphics.
I've got 239.
Yeah. Stop throwing that one around. All right, let's get to the meat. The questions. We found out a little background on Northwood. We found out a little background on you. And then I believe this is where we were before I amazingly found out that I didn't hit record the first time. But Northwood has already proven itself as a dominant within the college esports scene. But how do you continue that, and how do you continue to push yourselves to make yourselves better than the last year? I've always wondered, once you get to the top, how do you stay at the top, brother?
Yeah, I mean, you always got to be recruiting and looking to add more and more players to create competition amongst the team.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we're that's our strength right now, is that recruiting in our infrastructure. So you also have to continue to improve on the infrastructure of the program to be more online with trends and that kind of stuff. Because at the end of the day, that facility is somewhat of a marketing tool for the program.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, when you look at the achievements and success that you've had already, and like you said, a very nice complex, I'm sure people are just chomping at the bit, be like, hey, what's this school? What's going on here? You know? And that's kind of leads us into the next question is, how do kids get on your radar? Is it tryouts, or do you rely on recruiting, or do people just walk in and be like, hey, I'm really good at this game. Can I possibly sit in? So how does that all go down at Northwoods?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, we've definitely had some elite talent just kind of walk up to our doors and say, I'm coming to your school, which has been awesome. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to have start happening. It shows that the success, success breeds success. That's I'm a firm believer in that. I do pay attention to like the high school combines, the high school leagues around the country.
Mm-hmm.
I look at those. I mean, I don't really watch leaderboards that much. I go more so into the semi-pro amateur scene to really look at talent, because some of the best players in the world probably don't even touch ranked at all.
Right.
They're just playing scrims and stuff like that. So you got to look there. But I mean, a lot of people just get on my radar by sending me a message on Twitter or emailing me, to be honest with you. I get a lot of people reaching out that way.
And I'm sure with looking at, not necessarily leaderboards, but looking at more of that semi-pro aspect is more of that competitive and organization background with you. Much like when we were recruiting during Lazarus, when I was managing, it was the same thing. I mean, you go back to who you've played and who's on your radar through the competitive scene, and who's still holding that torch and running with it. For me, it was just like, well, I'm going to hang up this controller now because I'm 32 and 16-year-olds are cranking 90s on me. I got to get out of here. But yeah, you hold on to that and kind of use your connections to a good extent. Any events or big things in the near future for Northwoods? I know you got the amazing complex, and unfortunately the pandemic kind of hit, so you can't have LANs or anything like that. But anything coming up big for you guys with events in the near future?
I mean, we have a lot of stuff we're playing in league-wise this fall. We fully expect to be traveling around the country. There hasn't been really a whole lot announced yet. But we do host. We started it over the pandemic. We're hoping to do it in person this year, called the Great Lakes Esports Invitational, which is a pretty large collegiate LAN event.
Okay.
Hopefully you'll see that in person in the spring.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I mean, right now we're just kind of at the mercy of, the new Delta variant and these tournament operators, what they're going to do. We're just waiting for things to be announced, to be honest, like everybody in every league and every game right now. Yeah,
everybody's just kind of at the whims, just waiting to see what happens. But that is, can you dive into that Great Lakes just a little bit more? Like, what does it consist of? Is it a certain league, or is it everybody that wants to join?
Yeah, so we did Rocket League only. Like we used Rocket League as the game for it last year, but we're hoping to expand to 3 different titles when we do it in person. The way we did it was, and we'll open it up to no cap, so no limit on the teams when we do it in person, but online we capped it at 16 colleges that could qualify. So we did an online qualifier. We had like 100 and some colleges try to qualify. Then the top 16 moved on to the actual tournament.
Oh, okay.
And then we broadcasted those, the group stages and the bracket of those 16 teams.
And that's on your Twitch as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Twitch is at Northwood Esports, and then their Twitter is also down there at Northwood Esport. So that is, I mean, I'll definitely be there. You can count me in on that one. I'm not missing that one. Is there any other games that Northwoods might dip their toe into? We kind of hit on it. I know you said maybe some Madden, Valorant, maybe some Smash. Anything else that might be on your radar as far as any upcoming games?
Maybe Pokemon Unite.
Hey,
I don't know. That game seems to be going pretty well.
If you need a Pokemon Go player, I can get it through any gym, brother.
Right. I would love to get I would love to get into Hearthstone more, but got to find the right players for that. But
that one's the tricky one. But if you find the right players, I mean, it's
just hard to find right now. Somebody that's trying to do collegiate. The player base seems a little bit older, so
yeah, that is definitely. I know when we were on Lazarus, they were my age. I was like, whoa, hey, dude's my age playing a video game. I was like, I'm not alone. Not the only boomer out here playing video games.
Yep.
With your background in more traditional orgs and marketing, do you think this makes a difference in your program compared to others? I think we kind of hit on that a little bit, but what are your thoughts on that? I think it makes you stand out just a little bit more.
I think it makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
I think I have an advantage over probably 90% of the coaches in the country that probably don't have any experience with an org or coaching.
Right.
That we're kind of seeing that as a trend, which, it's a young industry, so people have to learn, and colleges will get better, coaches will improve. But yeah, definitely I've tapped into my past experiences, my past connections to recruit heavily.
Yeah. And I looked at that question and I was like glancing again. I was like, do I even have to ask this? But yeah, for the podcast, yes, of course. Yeah. Just so people understand. But if you're joining us now on the podcast, we're joined by the director of esports and coach at Northwood University, Cody Elsen, aka Coach Cody, aka Evolve, if you know him from his competitive days. But what is Northwood's? I almost said Northland because I went to Northland. What is Northwood's future plans or goals in the near future?
Right now, we just want to continue to, our big goal for this year is to really, really improve on our production and casting and all that fun stuff, and try to make sure that we're broadcasting at least 5 different matches a week with a good quality broadcast. Where last year we didn't broadcast a whole lot.
Right.
That's what we're really focusing on. We've brought in a transfer from Ottawa University. His name's Aiden. He goes by TubeSock, who is phenomenal with production. He works for an org called Elevate right now, and we're expecting to really take things to the next level from our production and casting.
I was going to say, I think I know that name, but I know Elevate for sure, as they were always up there with the other orgs. Mm-hmm. What is your hope for an organized NCAA esports? Now, I've had this on other podcasts. It's kind of the Wild Wild West. You don't have a governing body, and it's, rules and regulations are kind of set up to you guys as far as everything that is moving forward, but what do you think? What is your hope anyway for an organized NCAA esport kind of category?
I mean, I think that I think it'll happen eventually, but I think it's going to be more game by game based. I think you're going to see conferences add like League of Legends as a sponsored sport versus just esports,
right?
Because it's kind of too hard to throw it all under one umbrella. So I think that's how it'll be tackled, is one game at a time.
Individual games, yeah. I think that's kind of what they'll do. Speaking, I mean, like hopefully in the 4 years from now, 3 years from now, when they might add it to the Olympic Games. There's been rumors and talk about it, but everyone's like, how would you do that? I was like, you got to focus on one game, essentially.
Got to be a couple different, maybe 1 or 2 games. Yeah. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. But yeah, League of Legends, if anybody hasn't heard of it, is essentially one of the biggest global games, excuse me, that is set stage. I mean, these things are massive. I mean, multi-million-dollar pools and huge leagues. That is pretty out of this world. And if you thought Fortnite was crazy, yeah, the League of Legends is always that crazy for many people that are in the video game business. Mm-hmm. In your personal opinion, what makes high school or NCAA esports better than just having a kid doing it on their own? So, like, as you know, going to orgs or going right to pro, what makes high school esports or NCAA esports better in your personal opinion?
I think just being able to be a lot of times be in person with your teammates is huge.
Oh yeah,
The bonds and stuff that you create, but you got to have the education to fall back on.
right,
So I think it's
exactly.
extremely important. That's one of the reasons why I went collegiate was so many of my former players had promising pro careers, and like it's a quick burnout, right? And then,
Yeah.
like 2 years later, they have nothing to do. Like they have nothing to fall back on. They're starting from square one. So.
Yeah, and some of them can be, end up becoming content creators and might be able to get by on that, or successful YouTubers or whatever it is. But if you go straight to pro, you don't really have much to fall back on. So
That's right.
maybe step into esports, and if you're able to play, or maybe even have a background in esports, kind of do everything that is associated with it first, get a degree, and then maybe tackle what's beyond that. And that's exactly what I was thinking. But again, for the reasons of podcast, we have to ask, is there anything else that you want me or that you want to hit on or let anybody know about with Northwood's Esports or anything associated with that?
Yeah, I mean, we're an open door. So anybody's, if you're a parent, if you're a kid that's interested in learning more about college esports, whether it's Northwood or not, I'm more than happy to help.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I want this to be more accepted and more widely done across Michigan and across the country. So I'm always willing to help, and no matter what way I can, for sure.
150% agree with you on that one, brother. We got to get the information out there. We got to help everybody grow. We got to have everybody understand what this is all about and what we're trying to do, because we're not just trying to go to school, play games, and not get an education, because we are trying to get the education, but at the same time, play some video games. All right, special segment here. The questions are done. If you miss some, you can rewind. You can go back, listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, watching on View It, whatever it is. You can go back and listen to some of the questions if you missed an answer or two, because he's a very intelligent man. And let me tell you, you don't want to miss any of his answers here, okay? But special segment, all right, we already know you got 3090s. Ooh, look at me. But what does your setup look like, brother? I got to know. And, being competitive, we have certain things that we like to play games with. I can tell you, like, I love using a SCUF controller for anything that is controller related. When it comes to mouse and keyboard, I'm a Logitech guy. But let's start off with your mouse. What do you use? What's your mouse? What do you got that propels that amazing aim you got, brother?
Actually, I just switched. Let's see if I can. I don't know. I found this for $10. I wanted to try it. It's a Cooler Master MM531. I like the shape of it. I got it at good old Best Buy. So that's what I'm currently trying out right now. But traditionally, I use a G Pro wireless.
That a boy.
But
I was going to say, there's no way this can be 100% true.
Well, I wanted to get something that fits like for right-handed versus just being like G Pro is,
bringing up right-handed, I never realized this until somebody brought it to my attention, but left-handed mouse users, I've never actually seen one until
I've never seen one either.
But somebody said there's left-handed mice, and I was like, what?
I couldn't do it.
There's no way.
How would you do the keyboard though?
Your right hand.
You'd be like this.
Yeah.
Like mouse and a keyboard, because you're trying to, it'd be.
Because if you're left-hand dominant, obviously you gotta, you use the mouse on your left hand. I don't know. It's
the left-handed keyboard. I don't know.
It's so they have them.
So.
They have them.
Really?
I've seen them. But yeah, I use the G502 wireless Lightspeed from Logitech, which I love it. I like that extra thumb button, like I said, for Tarkov. Helps me. Helps me crouch when I need to.
I've got one of those actually sitting right here too.
Yeah, that boy. I love that. I love that thing. What keyboard do you use?
I'm actually right now using where's the box? Oh, a G91510 keyless Logitech wireless.
Hey, that's wireless. Oh,
Lightspeed.
Yep. And it's actually kind of what I want to get to. I wish they'd make a G Pro wireless Lightspeed, but they don't do that as of yet. But I have the G Pro. I like the small format. Obviously, it's easier. I like that. Nice and clicky, but not loud clicky. What monitor you use?
Alienware. I don't know. It's 360 hertz, 1 millisecond. That's
that's right. The Booga monitor.
Yeah.
Something that Booga is pushing. I know he was pushing 360, but that is.
I don't know if it makes a difference, but hey, I have.
I mean, to be honest with you, if you can get which you can with those stupid 3090s you've been bragging about, but yeah, you can get 360 frames with that. I mean, that's smooth as butter, as we like to say. I use the old BenQ Zoe 240 1080p.
Yeah, it's a good monitor.
It's the standard CSGO. Everybody used it back in the day. I don't mind it at all. It's a really good monitor. But I'm 240, maybe getting 270 with my 2080s, not 3080s. So, all right, we talked about your 3090s, but what's your PC specs look like? You said you have two, right? You're a dual PC like me?
Yeah, I'm doing dual PC. I don't have it set up yet,
right.
But the one PC's got 64 gigs of Corsair RAM at 3600 megahertz.
Hey, that sounds like mine.
MSI Gaming Trio 3090 and a i9 10950K.
Okay.
But the other one will have a i9 11900K.
Yep, that's what I got mine.
64 gigs of 4000 megahertz RAM and then a EVGA FTW Ultra or whatever.
Oh, for the win, 3090. Yeah. I haven't heard a bad thing about that one yet. I have the Trio 2080 my gaming PC, 11900K.
The Trio cards are just huge. That's the only problem.
They're massive. I mean, my Trio card with 2080 was massive. I was like, I don't know if this is going to fit my case.
It comes with the bracket. You have to install a separate bracket just to hold it up.
Yeah. It's an awkward bracket, too. It's not like just one you connect to the back and it'll hold it up. You have to, like, run the length of it. I was like, come on, man. It already takes up 2 slots anyway, then a third slot for the stupid bracket. And then the streaming PC, I got a 2080 gigabyte with a 9900K. And there's 16 gigs of RAM in that one, which obviously streaming PC, I don't need many gigs of RAM, but the other one's got 64 of Corsair. So we sound similar when it comes to a gaming PC. The only thing that stands out is that damn 3090. But
hey, you can get them now. They're actually becoming more widely in stock. So.
Yeah, no, I can't get them yet. I live in northern Michigan. Best Buy in Traverse City doesn't get anything up here.
That's true.
All right, we are that special segment. You learned about his fancy 3090s and his coolness that he is. But we're gonna play a fun little game here. This is called Rapid Fire. I'm gonna give you 10 questions. I always say a minute, but it always takes more than a minute because everybody likes to talk about your answers. These are just random questions off the top of your head. Give us the best answer that comes to you. There's nothing here that is going to be super hard for you to figure out or anything that's going to catch you off guard. Maybe one of them, but it's not going to be anything that's going to ruin our friendship.
Okay, gotcha. All
right. Number one, favorite platform / console of all time?
Xbox 360 by far.
That a boy. I knew I liked you. I always liked the 360. That thing was so good.
It was so good. Modern
so
Warfare
good.
2.
Yeah.
Like it's just such a good.
And the thing that people don't understand was the iOS was so easy and so clean.
Gosh, yes.
And the controller was so well built and just perfect ergonomics for your hand.
Only thing I had to worry about was the red ring of death.
That was it. And my buddy went through like 5 consoles. I didn't go through any.
I never had issues with that.
I didn't either. Number 2, favorite game of all time.
Gears of War. Original Gears of War.
You know, I can never get into it. I played it. I was just never a Gears guy. But I understand the love of it. But I just never could get into it.
It was just the game. Like it wasn't even just about the game itself. It was the fact that they had over 1 million active players back in 2006.
And that was Xbox exclusive too.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, you know, like they had so many good games exclusively. Like they had Halo, they had Gears. I mean, Xbox was killing it when the 360 came
Absolutely.
out. Just absolutely made PlayStation look dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And then they said, hey, look at us. We're going to make a VCR. That didn't work out so well. Go-to snack while you're in a session.
Cheez-Its.
Oh.
Original Cheez-Its.
Is that because they're on the big check here in the background?
No, I just always love Cheez-Its. My mom's the same way. I got it from her. She's obsessed with Cheez-Its. I love Cheez-Its.
Cheez-Its are a good go-to, man.
Go-to.
White cheddar. I like
white cheddar's good. I prefer original. Extra toasty. I'm in the right mood, but
extra toasty.
Original's my favorite.
Yeah, original is good. I mean, you can't go wrong with Cheez-Its. Cheez-Its are good. Favorite band / musician?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yeah, that one catches you out of left field.
Right now, there's a band that's actually it's called Girlfriends. It's
I just saw you tweet this today.
I've been listening to, but probably the most listened to band is Chunk No Captain Chunk.
My! You are me. You are me.
Hey, I used to go to Warped Tour and all that stuff all the time.
I went to Pontiac Silverdome all the time, dude. 04, 05. My buddy is the lead singer of the Spill Canvas. If you know the Spill Canvas, and like I still listen to all the emo stuff. Like
same here.
My Chemical Romance.
The
I have
Devil
them on vinyl. Oh yeah.
Chiodos, Seosin.
Chiodos. I saw Seosin open for Taking Back Sunday.
Yeah,
a few years ago. I was like, man, See, I knew I liked you. Who do you watch, pro or streamer?
Oh, I watch so many. I probably watch Gold Glove quite a bit just because
Yeah.
him and I used to play quite a bit back in the day on Gears 3. And just, I try to support people that I was, friends with, former friends with, whatever it may be.
Right.
Plays a lot of, games that I enjoy. So
I think I was introduced to Gold Glove H1Z1.
Yeah.
So like 16.
Be really good at Gears. Like
17?
if he actually like wasn't pursuing the content at the time, and he was probably I think he was the number one Gears of War YouTuber for Gears of War 3 and streamer. But he focused so much on the streaming the content, but he's very talented too.
Oh, yeah.
If he actually wanted to pursue competitive, he could have.
And I think he shoutcasted for H1Z1.
Yeah, he does a bunch of stuff.
He's a very talented human being.
Mm-hmm.
Cat or dog person?
Dog.
Yeah, thank you. I haven't run into one cat person yet, so I mean,
cats are fine. Like,
they're fine, but I prefer dogs.
Dogs are the best.
Yeah. Nintendo or Sega? We know back in the early 90s this was a huge thing, but I personally, I'll take Sonic over Mario.
I had Sega. I had both, but I had Sega, and I used to play like the original NHL, like 95 on it, and that kind of stuff. That's what I used to play most of the time. I prefer Sega for sure.
Oh yeah, I did too. Even like Sega Saturn and Dreamcast, they were so ahead of their time.
Yeah,
they kind of outran themselves.
Yes,
like Dreamcast was so
Dreamcast
good.
was great. I had a Dreamcast.
I did too. I was just like, this thing is awesome, but then it was just
died.
like, yeah, you guys are just too good for your own good.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Potter or Voldemort?
Harry Potter, I guess. I'm not really a fan of the franchise, so
what?
No, I'm not. I honestly have don't read books, so
the movies, brother.
I haven't really watched most.
I'm
honestly that guy that I played Gears of War. I mean, thousands of hours, traveled around the country playing it, and never played campaign.
To be honest with you, I haven't played a campaign of Call of Duty since like Black Ops 1.
I've never. I honestly can't tell you. I probably can. I'll be honest with you. I've never beaten a campaign ever of any game.
Really?
I've gone straight. Yeah. So the reason why I got into competitive gaming, it's kind of a sad story in a way, but like when we moved to a new neighborhood and I was in 5th grade, I went to summer camp, and there was this kid named Aaron that lived down the street from me that was there. And we became good friends because he lived down the street, and he had the original Smash Brothers on the GameCube.
Right.
And that's where I got into gaming, was playing that competitively. And he actually got killed in Iraq literally like the year after we graduated high school when he went over there. Oh, no, he got killed in Afghanistan.
I remember when he came home. I do remember. I think it was a big deal when he came back because it was in Midland, correct?
Yeah.
It was. That.
Yeah, it was. It was sad, but that's what really got me into competitive gaming. So from then on out, it was all about sports games, Smash,
right,
and then eventually Gears of War. So I never really got into the whole, campaign.
No, I mean, it's funny because whenever I talk to my good buddies that you're like, yeah, Nintendo was awesome, back in the heyday. Oh, I love Zelda. I haven't touched a Zelda game. I don't find it entertaining. They're like, what? You've never played Zelda? I was like, sorry, dude. I don't like Zelda. I've always been a sports kid, or I've always been a Grand Theft Auto kid. And then when I got into streaming, it was Destiny, which was a first-person shooter looter. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of got into BRs when I found out what BRs were, and I was like, I'm a BR kid. I love it. So I understand you. I understand. And the only reason I'm a Harry Potter fan is because my wife's a librarian, and she made me sit through all the audiobooks. So I was like, oh, okay, these are actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. Number 9, this is the left field question. Would you rather be attacked by one horse-sized duck or 100 duck-sized horses?
Probably one horse-sized duck.
You and Charlie Watson are the only ones that went with that answer. Everyone else says 100 size
that's a lot,
duck horses.
Though. That's a lot.
Yeah, but all you have to do is climb up a tree half the way. And you're good to go.
Do the same thing with a duck, though, too. The duck can't climb. Oh, well.
A horse-sized duck? He's coming after you, brother. I mean, they're not nice.
I would just tame it and make it my pet. I don't know. I don't know. To me, that just seemed more logical.
All right, all right. Well, one horse-sized duck. I mean, if you got a good shot, I mean, he doesn't stand a chance.
What's the duck gonna do to me?
I don't know. Maybe if you have bread, he'll be your friend. You could ride him.
Exactly.
All right, number 10. Anywhere in the world, where are you going?
Honestly, you're gonna be like, wow, really? My favorite place in the world is Ludington, Michigan.
Really?
I love Ludington. I love that area. I love Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
I love the lighthouse. That's where I'm actually more at peace in an area like that than a bustling tourist area.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, being from this side and being from Ludington, I know I take for granted where I live a lot of the time, and like Traverse City and all that stuff is absolutely gorgeous. The UP is even gorgeous, and it's just recently with my dad passing about a year ago. And going up to the UP and going to deer camp where we want to be buried and like everything, I was like, wow, this is actually really nice. All the crap that I've always given the UP in loving fashion, but I was just like, this is actually really, really nice.
No, Ludington's got one of my favorite golf courses on the planet, Hemlock Golf Club.
Oh, Hemlock. I golfed there for free one time.
Such a good course.
The pro's like, hey, bring some buddies and play it. And I was like, it is gorgeous.
It is phenomenal. It's one of the most underrated courses in the state by far.
Oh, there's so many courses. We are blessed with so many courses around here. There was one that actually just closed, was called Elk Ridge up in Atlanta.
Yep, I know what that is.
To me personally, is the best golf course, even over Arcadia. I absolutely thought it was a gem, and it was super cheap.
I think my favorite course closed actually. It's called, in the state, called Black Forest.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's over near Gaylord, like by the Loon and treetops.
Yeah.
I think it was the hardest course I've ever played in my life. But I like that though.
We're gonna have to get you up here to play Lakewood on the green.
I'll come up and
it's a tough course, man.
I'll play some golf.
Yeah, dude. Bring the clubs. I just got some new clubs. I'm feeling it. I'm still getting back in my groove, but I don't know if I ever
play better
had
when I'm not playing a ton of golf. I actually play better when I play just a little bit here and there.
When you're not too deep in your head.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I am right now.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Trying to figure it out. Yeah. Oh, man. Brother, thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate it. Always a good chat with you. If you guys need to find them, twitch.tv/Northwood Esports. At Twitter is at Northwood Esports. Of course, Coach Cody, a.k.a. Cody Elsen, a.k.a. Evolve. He has his own Twitter as well as at Evolve. You can find him there. Anything else you want to add, brother?
No, I mean, anybody listening, appreciate it. If you ever interested in learning about Northwood or, just collegiate esports in general, always an open book.
Man, I knew I liked you. You're hitting all these questions right on the head. But this has been the One Up XP Show podcast. I'm Michael Stevens, a.k.a. Flake of Wrath. You can find me on Twitch there. You can find me on Twitter down there. This will be broadcast on View It as well as on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Do what you got to do to subscribe. There'll be more episodes to come. Cody, I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate me.